Perhaps you've had this experience before in your life where you want to share something of your faith with someone else, someone like a family member or a friend or a coworker, and you're afraid to do it, or you feel like you can't do it. I know I've had that experience a lot of times where instead of saying something, I just stay quiet. And sometimes that maybe might be the right course of action, but a lot of times we kick ourselves afterward and wished we had said something or that we had shared something because we know the truth of our faith is important to share and we know that it can be helpful for other people. But a lot of times we get afraid, we get scared and think that, well, I'm not really worthy to share that, or I don't really know enough to do that. I'm not totally sure about all of this stuff, and so I'm just going to stay quiet. Because what would the reaction be from this other person perhaps? What's the worst case scenario that could happen? But the Lord always calls us to keep sharing our faith. The Lord is continually calling us to evangelize and to allow other people to hear the good news, but from us. And St. Paul tells us today in his letter to the Corinthians, he says that we have confidence in our Lord Jesus Christ. And what he says is this, he says, not that we ourselves are qualified to take credit for anything as coming from us. Rather, our qualification comes from God. Our qualification comes from God. So what he's saying is that to share the gospel, that really is something that comes from God. And we're only qualified to share it because the Spirit is the one who calls us to do that. And then anything that comes from that, any fruits of our sharing of the gospel, is really due, the thanks is due to God, because the Spirit always accompanies the words of evangelization. It's kind of like thinking, well, I'm just going to do what I can here. I'm going to share as best I can, because the Spirit, if we really share with genuine faith, the Spirit is the one that really carries the power and the force of those words. And it's the Spirit that touches other people's hearts. It's a good reminder for us that we are called and need to share the love of God and speak the truth with love. Even though we're not really qualified, it's the Spirit that qualifies us. We simply have to be obedient to that Spirit when we are called to do so. So, Jesus says today in the gospel, whoever obeys these commandments and follows them, whoever follows the promptings of the Spirit in this way and speaks out in bold faith, they will be called the greatest in the kingdom of heaven. So may it be so for us as well.